Okay, in our previous class, we did transition. Okay, today I would like us to look at animations. Look at CSS animations. That is what we are going to look at today. We're going to see the difference between the transition and then the animations. They are almost the same thing, but just that their names that is different from it. Okay, just that the name that is different from it. So when we talk about animations control the movement and appearance of what elements on a web page. Okay, it controls the movement and appearance of a web page, of elements on a web page. That is what animation does. Okay, now you can animate HTML elements without using JavaScript. I get my point. And if you are doing an animation in that, you can use what we call keyframe to define what the animation step. Okay, you can use keyframe to define the animation step. So the keyframe is always important to be used in defining what the animation the animation steps. Okay, they are very, very important, so you don't skip it. Okay, to apply animations with properties like animation name and animation duration, these are other properties that you can apply animation with. Controls the animation flow using animation timing, animation timing function, and animation delay. These are properties that you can apply in animating your HTML elements. Are you getting my point? So we are going to be seeing, number one, the properties. We're going to have keyframe, then we'll use animation by name, then we'll use animation by duration, and then animation by key timing function, and all of that. There are other ones. If you cannot finish it today, then you can do the rest in your house. Are you getting my point now? Now, let's look at, first of all, let me display this code. Let me go and display this code. So this is the previous one we've done before. So I will continue from here. Okay. I don't want to scatter it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to look at animation by keyframe, which is the most thing that must be done anytime you want to apply animation. The keyframe is always important. Are you getting me now? Now, what is the rule? The rule defines how an element style changes over time during an animation. That is how the element style changes over time during an animation. That is what is known as keyframe rules in an animation, animations. Okay. Now, let's see here. Let's say, for instance, I have a div here. I'm continuing with this. I have a div class here. If I have a div class here, this class, I'm going to name it box 4. I'm naming it as box 4. So if I name it as box 4, then I will close the div tab here. If I close it, then I will go upward and then do my animations, and then I will apply the keyframe, and then we'll see how it's going to animate. Okay, So I will go to my CSS, and this is my key CSS, starting from here. So because it's a class, I'm going to use docs. So box, what box? Box number is what? Box 4. Okay, it's box 4. So I'm going to open my curly brace, and then I will indicate the width that we did before. The width will set it to 100 pixel, and then we'll set the height to what? 100 pixel. And then we have the background. The background color, we are going to set it to blue. Then we have to do what? Animation. We have to set the animation. So the name of this animation is going to be what? Change color. This is the name of the animation. It's going to be change color by 3 seconds, and it will be doing that infinitely. Okay, it will be doing that infinitely. Now the name of this animation, like I said, is change color. So if I'm going to add a keyframe now, I'm going to use this name here to add as a keyframe to change the color. Okay, now the next thing here I'm going to add here, after I close this one, then I'm going to add keyframes. Then what is the name of the animation? What is the name? Change color is the name of the animation. Then I will open the color brace. Now, which color am I changing from? So I'm going to state from where to where. Okay, so I'm going to use from. I'll open my curly brace, then I'll identify the background color that I want it to change. The background color I want it to change. The background color here, we identify it with what? Blue. Then I will close this. I've changed from what? Blue. I'll change from blue. So which one is? Then I'm going to use another this thing again. To what? Another background. Are you understanding me at all? Another background. I want that background to be pink. Let me use that pink. Let that background be pink, and then I will close my curly brace. I'm closing 2 curly braces now. Okay, this one I open here has not been closed. You get my point? So I will close it here now. So after that, I will now go back and run my code, and let's see how this will work. You see that? See that it's changing consistently. Why? Because we changed it from where? We made it infinitely, but if you see transition doesn't have that. Okay, you just place your mouse, you see it transiting. But animations have to change on the element. The element has to keep changing in respect to what? To time. That is what is happening there. So why the thing joined together is because I did not put break. So if I add break here, you see that it will break out from the previous one. Do you see that? No. That is animation by what? Keyframe. That is done by changing of what? Color. Change from blue background to what? Pink background. That's how it will keep changing. Right? So the next one we're going to see is animation by what? Name. Animation name is one of the property you can use in animating an element. Now what does it do? It specifies the name of the keyframe animations to apply to an element. That is what it does. It specifies the name of the keyframe. Now the name of that keyframe that time there is what? We have what? Change color. I get my point now. I've changed color. So we're going to see another name of this animation using animation name. Using what? Animation name. So for me to achieve that, that is to say, I'm going to go back to my code here. I'm going to go back to my code. Then I will copy this and paste here. So I'm changing the box here to 5. So if I change this one to 5, then I will go up to my CSS here. At the top here, remember I'll put dots, box 5. Then I'll put my width, which is very important. I'm going to have it to be what? 100 pixels, the same as 100 pixels. I'm going to have my height to be 200 pixels. 100 pixels. Then I'm going to determine the background. The background color should be what? Should I use blue? Let me still use blue. Sorry. Then I'm going to determine what? The animation name now. The animation name. Specify the animation name. The animation name now, I'm going to make it what? Move right is the name. Move what? Right. The other one was, yes, it will move right. That is the name of the animation. By moving right, I'm going also to specify the time it will take. The time it will take to do what? To move that right. So it will take about what? 2 seconds. Take about 2 seconds. And then I will also add iteration. You know what I mean by iteration? Iteration, the numbers of times it will take. Do I want you to do that twice, or I want you to keep doing that infinitely? That's what we call iteration. So I'm going to add an animation. Sorry, made a mistake here. Animation iteration count. Then I'm going to put it to be what? Infinite. I'm going to put it to be infinite. Then I'll close that. That's the end of that part. Then I'm going to identify the keyframe now. What is the keyframe? Keyframe name is what? What is the keyframe name? It's move right now. That is the name we are using. It's move right. You must ensure that the name you use here, must be the same thing here. Okay? If you look at this, the name we use here is still the same thing with this one. So you cannot use, like now if I use small c here now, it will not work. What will happen? Do you see that? It's no longer working because the names are different. Here is capital C before it will work. You see that? So this one I have not started working yet because I have not done with that. So moving from, I will determine the location. You should move from where? The transform, and then it will translate from 0, and then 2. Transform and then translate towards this place translate x. Sorry, this place translate x, and this place too is translate x, and then I'll put the number in which it will cover. That is the length in which it will cover. It should cover about 200 pixels. That is what I want it to cover. Okay, that is that. So if I do that finish, then I can go. This one will now work by now. Something is still wrong. Let's see why it's not working. Let me go back to the code. Transform here. It's still not working. So let's see what is the problem. Move right, transform x 0, correct. We come to this place. Okay, semicolon is not here. I omitted semicolon there. So I think now it should work. Good. So you see that is animation by what? Move by name. To keep moving right. Keep moving right in that manner until I declare the program stop. Okay, that is when it will stop. It will keep moving like this. Okay. Alright. Now the next one now is going to be animation by what? Timing. So let me pick this. Let me pick this out. And then set this to 6. Set it to 6. I set it to 6. And then I will go to my what? CSS here. Then I will put dots. Box what? 6. Then I will indicate my CSS width remains the same, which is 100 pixel, and height too remains the same, which is 100 pixel. And then we have background color. I'm going to set the background color. Background color should be blue. Should be blue. And then animation by duration, because I'm going to set the timing. Let it be 3 seconds. The other one is on 2 seconds. Okay, and before that, let me set animation name. Okay, I'm going to set animation name here too. So I'm going to set animation name. The name should be what? Slide. That is slide. That is the name. That's the name I will be using. If I'm done with that, then I will use animation by timing. Timing function. Then I'll put is in. Then I'm going to add again what we call animation iteration. Just like I did the first one, the numbers of time is going to take. Okay, I want it to be infinite. So I'm going to put iteration count. I'm going to put infinity. So I'll close them. I'll put my keyframe here. Keyframes. That's the name. What is the name? No. Name of the keyframe is what? Slide. Name of that is slide. So if I pick slide, then I'll put location, which is from, and then it should be translate x. Then I'll have this close, and then I'll state 2. Then I'll put background color. Sorry, not background, is transform. Transform will now be translate x. I'm going to make it to cover like 300 pixels. 300 pixels. Then if I do that, that should be all. Okay, then I'll go back and refresh. So you see it. It's covering what? Look at where this one is stopped. This one stops here, while this one stopped in front of it. I see. So meaning that they are almost doing the same thing, because the speed of this one is what? 2, and the speed of this one is 3 seconds. That's why this one is going faster than this one. You get it? You get it? So there are many animations that you can talk about. So many of them. So many of them. Okay? So many of them. Did I give assignment last time? Huh? I didn't. Okay. We'll hang it up for here for today. We'll hang it up for here today. I'm going to give you an animation assignment. What you are going to do? You are going to do animation by bouncing. Animation by bouncing. And then you do animation by bouncing. So you can so that you jot it down. Bounce, okay, that is another one. Bounce. Then you're going to do you are going to do move, okay. That's what we are going to do. So where did I stop? So we just did only these 3. So pick it out. Yes, I'll send it to you. Yes, this is a notepad. So I started from number 4 years. Huh? From the beginning? Okay. Yes? No, I'm done, sir. Okay, that will be all for today, okay?